Pull up here. I said pull up. You shotgun, stand up. Throw me my rifle. All right, boys, you can move out. From now on, we're going in different directions. Well, get! Oh! Oh! Yeah!
Morning, Bart. I was beginning to think that coach is never going to get here.
Looks like it woke you up.
Well, waiting makes a man sleepy. I've been over in that holler since yesterday afternoon. Kind of scared the coach might pass me during the night. The way he's traveling now, though, he'd have been by here 2 days ago. I'd have missed you altogether. Rough as you look, though, I can't say as I blame him.
Sam, you sure it's him?
Well, of course I'm sure. There ain't 100 Tate Kimbroughs.
There could be, but I'm only interested in one.
Well, wait till you see him for yourself. You'll know that's the one.
He's a big man in Sundown?
The biggest. He's got that town in his fist, and he's squeezing it hard. Ain't heard the folks complain much. Guess they're all scared.
Glad to hear he's doing so well. When a man's riding high, the ground comes up and hits him a lot harder when he falls.
Oh, why don't you rest a little while? You know, I ain't had nothing to eat since yesterday. We could make a little fire and cook up
We'll be eating when we get to sundown. Sunday?
Thursday.
What's all the commotion?
Tate Kimbrough's getting married.
Today? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, I didn't reckon it was important.
Sam, folks say the most important moment in a man's life is when he gets married.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. There's a pretty good eating house
Where's
down...
the barber shop?
Over there.
I'm not going to miss the most important moment in Tate Kimbrough's life. Man shouldn't go to a wedding with stubble on his face.
Man shouldn't go to a wedding on an empty belly, neither.
Go ahead and fill it. No reason for you to go, stomach empty or full.
I have to come back this afternoon, mister. It's my last customer. I'm closing up. I'll be open again at 2 o'clock.
What time's the big wedding today?
In about half an hour.
Ain't you almost finished with him? Shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to shave my whiskers.
I told you, mister, I'm closing up.
You wouldn't be going to a wedding looking like this, would you, Mr. Barber?
No, but...
That's what I mean.
I told you I'm closing up.
You told him 3 times.
You don't mind if I shave myself?
Oh, no. No, sir, I don't mind, not at all.
Thanks. Go ahead.
I take it you're good friends with Mr. Kimbrough.
Do you?
Well, looks like you've come a long way to attend his wedding.
We've come a long way.
Mr. Kimbrough is a very lucky man. He's marrying up with Miss Lucy Somerton, finest and prettiest young lady in Sundown.
Sounds like you think mighty highly of her.
Oh, yes, I certainly do.
Lady like that's making a big mistake, marrying a man as rotten as Tate Kimbrough.
I guess you figured out now we ain't friends with Mr. Kimbrough's.
You shouldn't talk like that about Mr. Kimbrough. Thank you, Mr. Somerton.
Oh, Bart, Mr. Somerton here is Lucy's papa.
Yeah? That's a shame.
Good morning, Mr. Somerton.
Good morning, Doctor.
How's Lucy feeling today?
Both the Somertons are enjoying excellent health, I'm happy to say.
But I wasn't inquiring about her health.
Being a physician, that should be your only concern.
Honey? Ruby?
I was just watching Mr. Somerton ride down the street in his fine buggy.
Of course, you made sure that he saw you.
He saw me. Imagine he must be a little upset having that Bible-quoting Justice of the Peace perform the ceremony instead of Reverend Peterson.
You can just be the Reverend's out of town on account of you and me.
Oh, Tate. You're making a mistake. You'll still need me.
I never needed anybody.
Everybody's got to need somebody. You must think you need Lucy Somerton.
I'm marrying Lucy because I love her.
You love me. But you never married me.
Oh, it's different between you and me. You know that.
Yes, I guess I know.
It'd be embarrassing for Lucy if you stayed in town.
I'm leaving sundown tonight. I wouldn't want to embarrass Mrs. Kimbrough.
Honey, you really are something.
To change for the wedding.
You can't go to the wedding.
Now listen to me, Tate. I never crowded you. You know I always thought that someday you'd marry me. I've given you more than any woman should ever give a man. Even though things haven't worked out the way they should, I've got to be there.
To remind Lucy and her father and everybody else in town about us?
That's not the reason. I've got to be there for me, Tate. Don't you understand? For me. Maybe if I see you getting married, it'll be easier for me to understand that now you belong to somebody else.
Ruby, do me one last favor, will you? Don't sit in the front pew.
That sure is a good eating house down there on the corner.
These horses need food more than we do. Where's the stable?
Right down there, Stretch. Hey, Doc, come in here and give me a hand, will you?
Yeah, sure.
You want to buy some feed for our horses, mister?
You'll have to talk to Abe about that. He's in here.
I ain't wore these boots in 5 years. My feet must have grown some.
Horse.
Oh, who are you?
Want to buy some feed for our horses?
How many you got?
2.
Well, much obliged, Doc. Give me 50 cents and help yourself. Oh, I can't go to church smelling like a horse. Try some of it. It's real sweet smelling stuff.
Yeah,
You figure on staying in sundown for any length of time?
we could.
You know, there's a lot of folks around here that ain't interested in seeing you rebel. The war is over. I bet you still got plenty of folks down in Texas that think the war is still going on.
What makes you think we're from Texas?
From your talk, I sure didn't think you's Yankees. What brings you two fellas to sundown?
Tate Kimbrough.
Oh, mighty fine fella, Mr. Kimbrough. Sure nice you got here in time for his wedding. Well, come on, Doc. We'll walk over to the church together.
I'm not going.
Oh, sometimes you take things too serious.
I don't think so.
Well, it's up to you.
Something bothering you, mister?
Were you afraid that Mr. Kimbrough wouldn't like it if you weren't in time for his wedding? Some folks around here figure that Sundown doesn't need any more of Tate Kimbrough's friends.
We ain't interested in what some folks around here figure.
Sheriff, I was shaving Mr. Somerton when these two men came into my shop. One was a fella I saw hanging around town a couple of days ago. The other one I never saw before.
Oh, what about him?
I don't like their looks, especially the one I never saw before. The nerve of him talking about Tate Kimbrough like he did. I tell you, Sheriff, he's a bad one. But what are you going to do?
Nothing he can do. He ain't broke any laws.
But he said that Tate Kimbrough was...
just stated an opinion. Now, you can't arrest a man for having an opinion. Can you, Sheriff? Good morning, gentlemen. What'll you have?
You got anything to eat?
Restaurant right down the street, but it's closed.
2 whiskeys, then.
Money's no good today, mister. All the drinks are on Tate Kimbrough.
We're paying for our drinks.
There's no charge.
If you don't mind, we'd like to pay.
Give him back his money, Otis. That sign means what it says, mister.
So do I, Sheriff.
Well, just make sure everybody's got a full glass. The good health of Mr. and Mrs. Tate Kimbrough.
Sheriff, I'd sure appreciate it if you get my money out of there, wipe it off, and put it back on the bar.
Better hurry, Sheriff. I don't think Mr. Kimbrough'd like you to miss his wedding.
Mister, you're figuring to stay on in Sundown. You're making a big mistake.
Otis, the sheriff left you a message job, but my friend and I'd like these drinks before we leave.
That's all right. You go right ahead. You paid for your drink.
Otis, I think I will have that drink. On me.
Doc,
Hello, Ruby.
do me a favor. Ride with me to the church,
Well, I wasn't planning on going.
please.
All right, Ruby.
I sure never expected Morley Chasen to see crossboys at the wedding. Huh.
Is something wrong, Barber?
Oh, no, Mr. Chase. It's just that...
Just that what?
Well, none of us figured on seeing you here. On account of you and Tate ain't exactly friends.
Well, why not? I ain't no different than the rest of you boys. You know we all feel the same about the groom.
The day's full of surprises.
What's she doing with him?
Make way for Mr. Kimbrough. Come on now, make way for Mr. Kimbrough. All right, everybody, stand aside and make way for the bridegroom.
Morning, Mr. Kimbrough. Morning, Zeke. All right, folks, everybody inside. Men, leave your guns in the vestibule. Whoop. Morning. Morning.
I ain't never been to no wedding, even yours.
You stay here.
Oh, Bart.
Dear brethren, we're gathered together on this...
Sheriff, we shouldn't proceed with the ceremony with you toting a gun. Your gun. Take it.
Dear brethren, we're gathered here together on this glorious day to unite Lucy Somerton and Tate Kimbrough in holy matrimony. Oh, friends, before I begin the ceremony, there's a question here has to be asked. Now, is there any man here who knows any reason why these two dear people should not be married? If so, let him speak or forever hold his peace. Lucy Somerton, do
Hold
you
it.
take... Well, now, look here. Everybody's welcome as long as they leave their gun in the vestibule and they ain't got enough whiskey in them to make them troublesome.
You said if anybody had any objection to this wedding to speak up. That's what I'm doing.
We're not interested, stranger.
Kimbrough, we never laid eyes on each other before today, and we are not strangers. Think back to Sabine Pass and a girl named Mary.
I never heard of Sabine Pass.
Lying ain't gonna help you none.
Swede, get that man out of here so we can go on with our wedding.
Stay where you are.
You better leave town if you want to stay in one piece.
I'll leave when I finish what I came for.
Well, whoever you are and whatever you came for, you're not going to stop this wedding.
The name's Allison, miss. Boyd Allison. If you marry this man, you'll be a widow by sundown. You. Take this money down to the precinct.
Good gracious, what's this for?
Maybe I just done you out of a wedding fee, so you can keep that money for performing Kimbrough's funeral services. You men sit down and stay quiet. Wagon!
Should have killed that fellow when he passed us on the street instead of there in church.
I didn't kill him.
Then what is all the fuss about?
I just told him I was going to.
You just stood up there in church and told Kimbrough you was gonna kill him. Bart, you must be plumb crazy.
I'm doing this my own way, Sam. For 3 years I've hunted Kimbrough, but he didn't know it. Before I settle with him, I want him to know he's being hunted.
You ain't hunting him no more. He's hunting you.
Hold up an Abe's livery stable.
Now, don't worry, Tate. They ain't going nowhere. We got that whole stable covered, front and back. And seeing as how I'm your best man and got the ring, I figured I ought to get back so as we could get on with the wedding.
You've done the right thing, Sheriff. Now, if everybody will go back inside, we'll proceed with the ceremony.
Can't have a wedding without a bride.
Lucy!
Charlie, I expect you to have Lucy back here at the church by 12 o'clock.
I don't think we ought to go ahead with this wedding until this man Allison is behind bars.
Don't worry about it.
I should think you'd be worried about him. He said he was going to kill you.
He's not going to kill me. Allison's not the first man that's had that thought in mind.
Well, it's more than just a thought with that one.
I told you not to worry about him, Charlie. I expect Lucy back here by 12 o'clock. I want you to get him now.
He won't come out. We can't get in there and get him without somebody getting shot up.
I pay you and the boys real good, Swede. If I didn't think a little gunplay would come up from time to time, you wouldn't be worth it.
He won't stay holed up forever. As soon as
You
he makes
haven't
his
got
move...
forever. I don't care how you do it. You've got exactly 1 hour to take care of Mr. Allison. I'll be at the hotel.
I wouldn't pass by the stable on the way. You're liable not get there.
Tate, is there anything I can do?
How long has it been since you've handled a gun?
Gracious, not since the fracas up in Denver. I don't like guns much.
Mm-hmm. That figures.
Well, Ruby, looks like the wedding's been called off. For a while, anyway.
That fella sure was a nervy cuss, wasn't he, Doc?
Yeah, it's too bad he didn't use a little common sense along with his nerve.
What do you mean?
Well, now he hasn't got a chance of accomplishing what he came here for.
Herb, you and Pete get up above that eating house. Unless one of them shows his face, you just keep shooting at that window nearest Spanish when he makes his move. Allison, unless you and your partner want to die in that stable, you throw out your guns and come on out.
I ain't ready yet. When I am, I'll be coming out the same time my gun does.
If you don't come out, we're coming in.
You sure would be making a big mistake.
There ain't no way they can get at us from the rear.
Seemed awful anxious to come in here, so bring him in. Where you going, Doc?
I left my satchel in here. I figure I'm going to need it.
Come on in. Fix him up.
A lot of people hoped this would be more serious, Spanish.
Including you, Doc?
Man takes a hand in something that's no concern of his. He ain't usually so lucky.
Take your hand away. Here, bite. Stand up, Spanish.
Ain't it lucky you brought the iodine dye?
Now, you just go on about your business and tell everybody else to do the same. This here thing's between Kimbrough and me.
You had your chance to kill Tate. You won't live long enough to get another.
Come on, Spanish.
You'd better move along too now, Doc.
Spanish is right, Allison. It's a pity, but when a man is bent on revenge, he has a one-track mind. He seldom accomplishes what he sets out to do.
You sound like you wouldn't mind seeing Kimbrough killed yourself, Doc.
No, I guess I wouldn't. I don't believe in violence, but maybe that's the only way Sundown can get rid of Tate Kimbrough.
What did he do to you?
Never did anything to me, personally. After the war, I came out west to set up practice. I fell in love with Sundown the first time I saw it. After I got to know the people, I fell in love with them, too. When Kimbrough came to town a couple of years ago, things changed. People changed. I don't imagine I have to tell you how it feels to see something you love destroyed. Who's Mary?
She was Bart's wife.
You got what you came in here for. Now get.
Art, when you told me to check Sundown for a fellow named Tate Kimbrough, you didn't tell me you was aiming to kill him because of Mary.
Now you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I drove off and left you, Dad.
I know you were terribly upset.
First, that woman has the colossal gall to show up at my wedding. And then that beast of a man interrupts the whole thing and tells me I'll be a widow before the day's over.
I was there, dear. I know what happened.
And do you know what happened in Sabine Pass? And about a woman named Mary?
You know I don't.
Well, I haven't heard any shooting for a few minutes. Maybe that means they've gotten him.
No, he's holed up in the livery stable. He won't come out and nobody will go in to get him. Darling, Tate expects you to be at the church at noon. Will I tell him you'll be there? Now. In spite of everything that's happened, I see no real reason why you shouldn't go through with the wedding. Lucy, I have to tell Tate something.
Well, when I've made up my mind what I'm going to do, I'll tell him myself.
One shot at those Texans every half hour ain't getting us no place. I'll bet Tate's really fuming having his wedding held up like this.
Now, you get this straight. I pay you a notch higher than the rest, so I expect more from you.
You pay for my services, Tate, but you haven't got enough money to buy my life. A man can't star in that stable without getting himself killed.
Spanish is still alive.
How about it, Spanish? You willing to try again?
Not alone. But I'll try it again if you side me, Swede.
Well, what about it, Swede?
The Spanish has never been too bright. Maybe he doesn't mind getting a belly full of lead, but I do.
Maybe he isn't too bright. But he don't look like he scares us.
I'm not scared, Tate. I'm just using good sense.
He's right, Tate. All you have to do is wait.
You'd like that, wouldn't you? Well, I'm not going to wait. So, Swede, stop telling me how much sense you got. And start living up to that reputation you've been bragging about. Now go on down there and blast him out of that hole and stop acting like a scared kid.
You know, that last part could go for you, too.
Maybe you're not scared enough of the right people.
Well, if you're in such a hurry to take care of him, why don't you go tackle the job yourself?
Come in.
Tate, I don't...
You know what, Charlie?
Well,
Yes, Charlie?
I doubt very much if Lucy will go through with the wedding. That is, at least until this man, Allison...
There's no reason for Lucy to concern herself about Allison.
But I think there is. This widow by sundown thing is hardly a happy thought for a girl to have on her mind when she's taking her marriage vows.
Well, I don't suppose it is. I don't think Allison can be feeling quite as sure of himself as he did when he sounded off at the church. He must realize he'll never get out of that stable alive. Now, if I was in his spot, I'd jump at the chance of riding out of this town in one piece. Wouldn't you, Charlie?
I certainly would.
So you go on down and give him that chance.
Me? Why me?
I don't want the rest of the town to think that I'm willing to let him go after that threat he made this morning. Of course, Charlie, I couldn't go in the stable and tell him myself. I think you can understand that.
Well, of course, but how about Swede here?
Swede, go down and tell the boys to hold that fire in case Allison agrees to accept Mr. Somerton's offer.
Are you willing just to let him ride out, Tate?
Sure. What's worrying you, Charlie?
Well, well, this puts me in an awkward position.
Well, what about me? A thing like this can start barreling, start people talking. Once Allison is out of the way and Lucy and I are married, the talking will taper down and things will drop right back into normal. We wouldn't want anything to change, would we, Charlie?
No, I guess not.
You and I have always understood one another, haven't we, Charlie?
Well, at least I've always understood you. I'll speak to him.
Well, I'll be. Next to Kimbrough, that's about the last fella I'd figure on coming to pay us a visit.
Allison. Mr. Allison, I'd like to speak to you.
And start.
I'd rather come inside.
I can hear you just fine from where you are.
You must realize you men are trapped in there. Unless you forget that foolish threat you made at the church.
I ain't going to.
Then you're a complete fool.
That ain't no way to talk to a man who saved your daughter from making an awful mistake.
I came down here to offer you a chance to ride out of sundown. The sheriff is willing to let you leave town.
You mean Kimbrough's willing, don't you?
I can't much blame him. You go on back and tell Kimbrough we'll stand.
Be reasonable, man. Save your life and ride out of town. You'll be better off than when you rode in.
How would we?
Be very blunt, I'll make it worth your while.
How much?
$500.
That ain't very much money for 3 years' work. We got a lot of traveling expenses tied up in Kimbrough. Hey, Bart, how do you like this father offering money to save Kimbrough's skin so his daughter can marry up with him? Lucy always looked like a pretty good-looking girl to me to have her father going around trying to buy her a husband.
I'm not trying to buy my daughter a husband.
Don't know what else you could call it, Somerton.
Bart, I think you've done a fool's thing. After all that searching around, it seems like you'd have been satisfied to just kill him on sight.
Even a rattler gives a warning.
Oh, yeah? Well, if they gave as much advance notice as you're giving that Kimbrough, rattlesnakes would be as out of date as them dinosaurs. What time you figure it to be?
Sun's throwing a pretty good shadow now. It must be now on to 2.
Oh, my old belly's growling like a trapped bear. Bart, I think you ought to have snapped up Somerton's offer.
There ain't nothing to stop you from picking him up on it, Sam.
Ah, well, probably both be as dead as a pole beef by supper time anyway. I sure ain't hankering to try and argue my way past old St. Peter on an empty stomach.
Allison! The offer still stands, but it ain't going to much longer. If you're smart, you'll ride out of town while you got the chance.
Swede!
Give me another drink, will you, Otis?
Me too.
Oh, I wish those fellas would hurry up and get out of there so I could get in and get my other boots. These things are killing me. Hey, Doc, come and get these things off of me, will you?
Yeah, and you can send him a bill for it too, Doc.
Sheriff I ever saw. Look at him. He's been doing nothing but just stand there.
There's nothing keeping you from going down there, Barber. You're not tied down.
Isn't any of my business. Besides, I wouldn't want to do that, Tate. If I went down and took care of those two, I'd be showing up our sheriff.
Sweet! You still got your prayer book on you?
I sure do, Mr. Kimbrough. Never without it.
Well, the saloon's no place for a staunch citizen like you. Come on.
Is there something eating you, Doc?
No, nothing bothering me, Morley. This affair is no concern of mine.
After all that's happened, Lucy needs time to think it over.
We've wasted too much time already. The train pulls out of Silver Springs tonight at 8 o'clock. Mr. and Mrs. Tate Kimbrough are going to be on it.
I wouldn't count on that if I were you.
But I am counting on it, Charlie. The only changes we're making in our plans is getting married here instead of the church. Now, honey, hasn't this gone far enough? When we decided to get married, I didn't think it'd be necessary for me to chase after you anymore. And come to think of it, Lucy, it wasn't me did the chasing.
You don't have to remind me of that, Tate. I'm really no different than Ruby, am I?
You must be. I never asked Ruby to marry me.
And what about Mary?
I never asked her either. You know, there are some girls a man gets to know pretty well without having to ask them anything.
How well did you get to know Mary?
Oh, well enough never to consider marrying her. Lucy, I never pretended to be a saint. And you never tried to pass yourself off as a wide-eyed innocent. You knew about Ruby and me and...
Tate, why does this man want to kill you?
Maybe it's because he doesn't understand women the way that I do. Lucy, I promise you when you wake up tomorrow morning, you won't be a widow. You'll be a very happy and content Mrs. Tate Kimbrough. Now, forget all about this fella.
I can't, Tate.
Afternoon, Lucy.
May I come in?
Paul sends you here?
Why should my father ask me to come here?
Well, he might have figured you'd have a little better luck than he did.
What are you talking about?
Come on in.
Your pa offered to pay us to leave town.
I don't believe you.
It's true. Maybe your father's more interested in having this wedding come off than you are.
Look, I'm marrying Tate Kimbrough because I want to, not because my father or anyone else wants me to.
You're a stubborn gal. I was hoping you stopped by to thank me.
Thank you for embarrassing me in front of the whole town.
I did you a favor, Lucy, and it won't take long to get over your embarrassment.
And how long do you think it'll take you to get over the fact that Tate once took a woman away from you?
I'd expect Kimbrough to explain it to you that way.
Well, what other way is there to explain it? Instead of putting all the blame on Tate, why aren't you big enough to admit that whatever happened was just as much and probably more your fault than anyone else's? Just because your girl liked the way Tate looked doesn't give you the right to kill him.
I don't suppose he bothered to tell you that that girl was my wife.
Well, does even that give you the right to kill him? Listen, when you're in love the way you must have been, the truth isn't an easy thing to face up to. No man, including Tate Kimbrough, can take another man's wife away from him unless she wants to be taken. So maybe you didn't lose anything that was really very worthwhile.
Bart, I was just thinking.
Well?
That little girl had a point.
Did I hear you right?
If I'd known you was hunting Kimbrough because of Mary, I'd have tried to stop you from coming here. Bart, I gotta tell you something about Mary.